US streamers are using UK downfall protests as an entire content niche now. That can't be a good sign.
It's a rich vein from which to mine. I mean, look, the downfall of the UK, the death of the UK is greatly exaggerated.
Okay, so he's touched on the downfall of the UK. Now, a lot of people predicted what was going to happen with Brexit. One of the things they predicted was being able to control the borders, and that meant a lot to people. Ironically, one of the many things that's happened is an increase in immigration overall. One of those reasons is, as we see with the boats coming over from France, we used to have an agreement where somebody comes over from France and they get returned back, basically. But as soon as we withdrew from those agreements, we have to take all of those cases on, then we have to process them as an asylum claim on its merits. And there's been a huge backlog for years. So that's that. But more than that, if people think back to the truth of Brexit, to be fair, the Brexiteers said there was going to be a painful period that the UK is going to have to go through whilst they look for new contracts around the world, including America, even though at the time, Barack Obama said we'll be at the back of the queue, if you remember.
And there might be a UK-US trade agreement, but it's not going to happen anytime soon because our focus is in negotiating with a big bloc, the European Union, to get a trade agreement done. And UK is going to be in the back of the queue.
This is our choice, nobody else's, the sovereign choice of the British people.
That was conveniently forgotten, but there will be trade with the rest of the world. Now, the fact that our economy is more aligned to Europe, primarily, and also the United States, didn't factor into things. So what we signed up for was a struggle to find markets internationally that never happened. And even if we did find these relatively tiny markets, it's never going to sustain a country which is the sixth biggest country in the world. It was never going to happen, and it didn't happen. So we volunteered to have trade barriers to our economic partners in Europe, and we were less valuable to America. So America could influence Europe through us as the UK, through our historical relationship, or whatever that was worth, whilst we were in Europe. But as soon as we were out of Europe, we were surplus to requirements. It was just there to be battered around and dictated to, as has always been the case. So America's interests are either to destabilise the entirety of Europe or have the UK in Europe in order to influence it. And none of those things have happened. So the UK's in a no man's land. But okay, so that is the context. But nothing will take away from the fact that the people that voted for Brexit voted for the hard times that we're experiencing now, but cognitively they did not interpret it as that. And the only economic response to those things, bearing in mind I got a master's degree in economics, was to go back to the old school tradition of smashing workers' rights, smashing the unions, and trying to get a competitive advantage so we can try and compete again within Europe. Bearing in mind the only thing that Europe needs to do to reset the position is just decide, okay, we'll increase the tariff by 1 or 2%. So whatever gains we've made was always going to lose. And now that we pay more in tariffs to our main trading partners in Europe and America, we have higher interest rates or a higher cost of living, we've got lower wages and lower workers' rights and increased inflation. Welcome to the world that we voted for in Brexit. You know the drill. The full video that I've just talked about is going to be round about here towards the bottom of the screen if you're on a mobile. Otherwise, the link's going to be in the description or the comments.